Okay, my guide to the North American League 2022. My guide? Your guide. All right, this just came out today. It's a lot like the EUL breakdown we just saw the other day, and let's take a look at this one. So we do know a lot of the details for this one. They did break down the dates and whatnot for the NAL when they did it for all of the leagues except for EUL. So some of this will be repeat information, and I'll try to just kind of breeze over that kind of stuff. And indeed, so just a little bit of a prelude here, talking about how TSM won and this and that, and talking about how XI got relegated, but have been invited back with a new squad. And so here are the 10 teams competing in NAL. If you weren't aware, we have TSM, Space Station Gaming, Sonics, Dark Zero Esports, Astralis, Oxygen Esports, Mirage, Beast Coast, Parabellum Esports, and XSET. And okay, so the format, and maybe this wasn't 100% confirmed, but you could pretty well assume. Yeah, 9 play days, best of ones over the course of 5 weeks. We did know the dates again, but maybe it wasn't going to be best of one round robin, no draws, but it was, like 99% confirmed. It would have been insane if they announced it was going to be best of threes or something. And okay, so here is the full schedule, and probably I'll talk about all of the matchups as they get closer. So, the day or two, however many days before they actually happen. But for now, I'm pretty excited for the first day. I think they have some really good games going on here. And okay, so Beast Coast versus Parabellum, it's 2 of the unknown teams, and I'm probably going to refer to a top 5 and a bottom 5. Top 5 being Sonic, Dark Zero, TSM, Oxygen, and Space Station. Bottom 5 being the other 5 teams. We have 3 matchups that consist of one of the top 5 teams versus one of the bottom 5 teams, and then we have 2 other matchups. So we sort of have Oxygen and TSM is 2 of the top 5 teams fighting, and then Beast Coast versus Parabellum, 2 of the bottom 5 teams fighting, and then top versus bottom, top versus bottom, top versus bottom. Okay, back to Beast Coast versus Parabellum. This is the matchup for the day that has the most roster changes. So between the 2 teams, there have been 6 roster moves, Beast Coast making 4, Parabellum making 2, but also Parabellum hasn't been in the league. So it's basically 4 new players to the league, 1 player that's already played before, but he's on a new team now, that being creators. So it's just like 2 brand new teams effectively to the NAL. So I think that's a really good way to kick off the season with a lot of question marks on several of the teams that are new. And then also, I guess there's question marks on everybody after sort of strange performances internationally versus regionally. Like TSM did really well at SI, but not that well within the region. Space Station never really lived up to expectations internationally, but they were pretty well the kings of best of ones within the region in stages 2 and 3 and whatnot. Okay, and then so once again, this is the only matchup without a top 5 team, so this could be potentially the wildest, scrappiest match of the day. Sonics versus Astralis. This is a rivalry that's been going on for a little while, but the Sonics actually won it every time, and it continues to be more and more in their favor. In stage 1 when they played, it was a 7-5, in stage 2 it was a 7-4, and then in stage 3 it was a 7-3. So Astralis continues to get worse, or Sonics continue to get better, or Sonics just continues to get better and better read on Astralis, whatever it is. I suppose Astralis would love to break that streak, but it seems likely that Sonics will take them down for a 4th time in a row. And this is also the matchup with the fewest roster moves. So Sonics didn't make any changes. Astralis only made 1 roster move, and I suppose 2 if you count the coach change, and then even make it 3 if you want to count Sonics' coach change. But within the playing rosters, just 1 change, retro for Forest. So we'll see if either of these teams have changed up, if Sonics maybe have fallen off, if Astralis have gotten better. It seems unlikely that Sonics will have fallen off based on their SI performance, but it's possible that Astralis has improved, so we'll have to see with them. And then Dark Zero versus Mirage. This is a little bit of a rivalry as well. Several people that played on Dark Zero or were on Dark Zero at one point went to Mirage, and only one of them still there. So Hot and Cold went to Mirage. Nix from Dark Zero. Nix was on Dark Zero quite a while back. He was on Mirage recently. And Guerra, the coach of Mirage, was not a player on Dark Zero, but he was a part of Dark Zero previously. And also, I believe Dark Zero beat Mirage every time they played, but we did get 2 overtimes between the 2 teams. So a couple of close affairs, but it is 3-0 in Dark Zero's favor, so Mirage will be looking to break that streak. And then Oxygen versus TSM. So over the course of the last 2 SIs, these are definitely the best 2 performing NA teams. They're the only NA teams that had decent placements at not this most recent SI, but the SI before that, with TSM getting 4th and Oxygen getting 5th/6th. And then at the most recent SI, TSM won the thing. Oxygen, one of the worst NA teams, I suppose, but all of the NA teams did pretty well. They got 7th, 8th, so combining the 2, I suppose. Oxygen maybe has the second best results over the course of the last 2 SIs. Although Sonics technically got 5th, 6th at this recent one, weren't at the one before that. So if you average it out, maybe Sonics is better, but you know, they just weren't even at the other one. So anyways, this is the only matchup for the day with 2 of those top 5 teams, and we have TSM, who have a little bit of a question mark on them regarding best of ones. They did just win SI, so they look like the strongest team in the world at the moment, but we have not had a chance to see them apply their new Formula 2 best of ones just yet. They were pretty inconsistent in stages 1, 2, and 3, getting 5th, 2nd, 5th. So we'll see if they can pick it up in best of ones. Also, they haven't beaten Oxygen in a best of one, so they didn't, or maybe sometime in their lifetimes they have. But in stages 1, 2, and 3, Oxygen took all 3 games. So once again, another 3-0 matchup. Oxygen will be looking to continue that streak. TSM will be looking to break that streak. And if TSM looks like the best team in the world because of SI, I think Oxygen looks like one of the teams with the most potential in NA at the moment based on their roster moves. I think Dreams and Newers hopefully will be really good. Maybe it'll take a little bit more time for Newers to adapt, given that he's going straight from T3 to T1. But Dream has just been consistent in his time in the NAL over the course of the last, 2 years. So I expect Oxygen will be pretty good. I'm not doing a prediction on this one yet, but this is probably the game of the day for various factors. The whole 3-0 of Oxygen against TSM, and TSM should be the favorites despite that, and not least of which the fact that it's the only matchup with 2 top 5 teams. So if you're looking for the most impressive, well-played siege, this might be the game. In terms of excitement, I suppose the other games, because they have a lot of underdog factor. Like, it'd be really exciting if Astralis or Mirage or XSET won their games. Anyways, moving on to the last game of the day, Space Station versus XSET. This is basically the #1 team from the NAL 2021 season, of course, disregarding the finals and everything, but just in terms of total point accumulation, that is Space Station, and then the worst team, XSET, who had the fewest points overall, who got relegated, who were in the relegation position in that last stage, and then got relegated. And Space Station, they did not relegate them technically, but they did put them in that relegation position. It was a 7-5 victory on that last play day for Space Station. If XSET had won one more round in that game, taken it to overtime, didn't even have to win it, just take it to overtime, they would not have been relegated. They would have got another point. Beast Coast would have been relegated, or they would have had to fight for their spot, and XSET certainly wouldn't have been relegated. So yeah, definitely looking for some revenge. I suppose the org is, but it's just not any of the same players, so not really, but in terms of a little bit of storyline. And then XSET didn't beat SSG at all last stage. Again, a different team, but it's fun to pretend it's not entirely a different team. 2 of the games were close between XSET and SSG going to max regulation, but there was also a 7-0 for SSG versus XSET. So, all right, yeah, a lot of new teams, a lot of question marks, a lot of good matchups. I think overall, I think there's a lot of good storylines, a lot of good reasons to watch every single one of these matchups. Of course, it's going to be difficult given that this game starts and then 6 hours later, this last game starts, and it'll probably be longer than 6 hours because usually there's some sort of delays. Maybe some of these games will be really quick and they'll speed up, but it generally runs later. So if things run even according to schedule, it should be like 7.5 hour a day. So that's quite a lengthy amount of time to be viewing. So I'd imagine people will just watch their favorite 2 or 3 matchups, or whatever matchups they can watch based on their schedule, this or that. And then in terms of time, so EDT, that is Eastern Daylight Time. Anyways, Eastern Time, starting at 2:30, ending, or rather the last game starting at 8:30. And this would be, I suppose, 11:30 Pacific. And then for the other time zones, I suppose you'll have to make your own calculations. And yeah, I guess that's enough on that. Let's take a look at the rest of the information. Super weeks every week, except for the final week, which has just the one play day. I don't want to talk about the dates again. I already went over it, but I'll just quickly or slowly scroll through it, I suppose, if you care to pause and take a quick look. This was covered in a previous video. I thought the prize pool was quite, well, for lack of a better word, interesting. Notable in that EU seemed a lot more top-heavy than NA, except for if you consider just the top 1, then this is very, very top-heavy. Yeah, getting over twice as much money for first versus second is big. They were much smaller. There was a much smaller gap in EU, and then there were, I suppose, bigger gaps in the rest of the placements. So it goes down $8,000, and then it goes down by 1,000, and then it's the same, and then 1,000, and then 2,000, 1,000, and then all the bottom 4 only get 2,000. So it's a little bit weird of a prize spread. Maybe they could have taken a little bit more from the bottom and moved it to around the 2nd, 3rd, 4th area. Yeah. In EU, they had, I think it's no prize payout for the bottom 2 or something like that. So pretty significantly different. You really, really want to get first. So good motivation. This also goes into like seeding, and it'll help you get into the NAL finals. The position doesn't really matter, just your raw number of points, but still, okay. So big motivation to get first place rather than any other place. And then I guess not as much motivation to get out of these bottom positions until you can get even higher, because until you get up to 6, you're not actually gaining any money. You definitely don't want to be way down here. It's easier to get relegated. You certainly don't want to be all the way down here. But yeah, you won't be gaining any money. And then talent. Okay, so the same NA people that have been going to the last few events, of course, no Kickstar. And Veli has gone over, I don't know if he does exclusively Call of Duty, but he does Call of Duty pretty well full time. Maybe he does like Valorant or something, but he's moved away from Siege. He's being replaced by, is it DOA? I imagine it's DOA, right? But unless it's DOA. I'm not actually familiar with who this is, but in just the limited number of tweets regarding him I've seen, he's apparently a pretty big figure in esports, and people are pretty excited to see him. And then we have Jacob and Jesse as analysts once again. We have Parker and Pengu as one of the casting duos, and Blue and Stokes as the other casting duo. So not a ton of changes from what we've been seeing recently. All of these six guys were at SI, I think, in these same positions, with these 2 as analyst duos, and then these 2 as a casting duo, and then the other casting duo. So yeah, I mean, it should be pretty good. Of course, we all still miss Kickstar, but hopefully they can still bring us a top-notch performance and broadcast and production and whatnot. So looking forward to seeing a little bit of new blood, and then Pengu to fill in this more permanent position. It seemed like he might be temporary, but no, I guess he's here to stay. And I think that pretty well does it. It just talks about this stuff, where to watch. They have it in English, and they have it in Portuguese as well. So, you know, where to find it for the English, of course. And then Challenger League. So they do detail this a little bit. I'll run through this. Participating teams: One Shot, Attack, Aqualix, X Aerial Rise, Outlast, The Heist, and Get Investigation File, Livid, Nocturnes, Took the Kids, West Garfield Park, and Ape. And I believe Ape just got announced to have been picked up by Aerial Rise. So we have X Aerial Rise, and then we have new Aerial Rise. And this is the roster with, it's Jay, Reed Sink, Reed, Mohesi, and Freak, right? And, you know, so only 12 teams, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Indeed, 12. And so the prize payout, which I think it shows down here, and then the schedule, I'm going to go through this just slowly if you care to pause, but I'm not going to read them out. Match is starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so scrolling through. Prize pool. Look, they have it all the way down to 16th, but there are only 12 teams. So I think the bottom 2 teams will be in relegation position, and everyone else will get some amount of money. Hopefully CL is good this season. I think a lot of the talent has been stripped from CL and moved up to PL. And so we'll see if some really good T3 talent can move up to T2 to fill those gaps. And then where to watch for CL, it's just on the Twitch here, it looks like. And then that pretty well does it. So I guess this video actually ended up being a decent length, but a lot of that was just me talking about those matchups. And okay, so I think that does it for this video. So I will catch you guys in the next one.